Lindsay is our resident nurse. She is a weight loss coach, and she's going to talk to us a little bit tonight about gaining self-confidence and setting goals and losing weight and all kinds of great stuff. And I'm excited to have her here with us tonight. So I don't know. What do you want to get started talking about, Linz?
Okay, are you guys ready? So I have like a 30-minute packed, fun-filled information session. So make sure you get pens and papers because I want you guys to write all of this stuff down. So we're going to be talking, well, let me introduce myself first. So I'm a registered nurse. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I'm a personal trainer. Although I've never personal trained anybody, I haven't used my black belt in years, but it gives me good credentials, whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but what it does demonstrate is that I can set goals and achieve them, which is what I want to talk to you guys about. Because I have researched a lot of stuff and I'm actually taking a course to be on TV, to actually be interviewed by news stations or to be on TV. And so I've done a lot of research in like entrepreneurship and self-development, and 92% of entrepreneurs never achieve a goal. So that means only 8% of entrepreneurs ever achieve a goal. Now, why is this? So I want you to write down habits, strategies, and systems. Habits, strategies, and systems. I also want you to write down the 5-second rule and the Superman stance. So we have, again, I'm researching a lot of things. We have 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. And that's such a huge chunk. And most of them, 95% of them are recurring thoughts. So really, we don't get a lot done because we're always in our head, which goes back to imposter syndrome. We're always in our head, stuck thinking things, recurring thoughts that you're not good enough, you don't know what to do, blah, 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 which is what I deal with too. And I feel like even though I understand how to set goals and achieve them, there's so much more that I could do if I wasn't stuck in my head 24/7. So it comes down to your habits. What kind of habits are you actually demonstrating per day? Most of us, the habits are recurring habits, which were getting up, going to the bathroom, making coffee, getting our clothes ready for work, doing work stuff, doing whatever it is. And you repeat those habits so much that you don't understand how to form new habits. It takes 90 to 230 days to actually form a new habit and to make it stick. So how do you form a new habit? It means being around people. Well, for example, let's say entrepreneurship. It means being around people that are a little bit further ahead of you. They're not better than you. They're just a little bit further ahead of you. So you consume the information. But what I had a problem with, and I've seen this for others, is that you consume so much information. Number one, you get stuck. And number two, you don't know where to go because you're just consuming this information and then you actually don't take action. So you have to and that is an actual habit. There is a habit of consuming information and then not taking action. So you can use what's called the 5-second rule. Now, I wish that I had made this up, but it's from Mel Robbins, if you guys know who Mel Robbins is. But the problem is that, so I see a lot of people nodding your heads, but how many times do you actually implement this? That's the problem, is that we know all this information, but we never implement it. So with the 5-second rule, so you can use this at any time during the day, but she uses it like to get up in the morning. 5 seconds. When you hit that snooze alarm, you count down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and get up like a rocket ship. Now, how many times have I said that to myself? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get up. Nope. And you hit the snooze alarm. So you have to hold yourself accountable. And this is another thing that I've seen, is that we are so in tune with holding ourselves accountable for others because we don't want to let other people down. But you are so quick to quit on yourself. It's so easy to quit on ourselves because we've been doing it our whole lives. So how do you fix that? It's habits. You have to get your habits correct. The first part is observing yourself. So tomorrow, for instance, you can do this tomorrow. You can do this right now. After you get off this call, what are your habits? Are you going to sit down? Do you have a nightly routine? Are you on the computer 24/7 like I have been? Do you have some kind of routine? And then tomorrow, when you get up, just observe yourself. Now, hopefully you can implement that 5-second rule. But no offense to anybody, because I've done this myself, you are more likely to not implement it. You are more likely to stay stuck in your habits if you don't have an accountability person, which is what I am doing. I'm an accountability coach because you are so much more inept to quit on yourself than you are with somebody else saying, all right, this is what we have to do. We're going to execute this. And then you're like, okay, I have to do this. But if you leave it to yourself, you're like, it can wait. And then tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. So number one, observe yourself. And then number two, find an accountability partner. Because again, that's like the key factor. Find an accountability partner to help you. But when you look for an accountability partner, it has to be somebody that is on a level just a little bit higher than you. Because if you find an accountability partner that is on the same level as you, both of you are going to fail because neither one of you are going to implement. You can talk all day long. You can talk until you're blue in the face about what you're going to execute. And then you're pretty much guaranteed to fail because something comes up, and then when the other person is like, okay, well, I can do this, but not right now, can't do it today, some kind of excuse or whatever it is. It could be a legit excuse, but the problem is that if you're on the same level as another person, both of you are going to fail. So observe your habits. But you also, when you take action to create new habits, you have to understand that it takes consistency, 90 to 230 days of consistency to actually see a habit form. Now, this comes into the play of like weight loss. So I'm doing weight loss. I have a ton of weight to lose, but our society is so pounded on the fact of instant gratification that you quit on yourselves and this goes for anything, you quit on yourselves because you don't see it instantly. But again, it takes 90 to 230 days to even see that consistency and actually understand. Something works, nothing doesn't. So with anything in life, if you have, a goal that you want to obtain, that could be weight loss, that could be getting a new job, whatever, something works, nothing doesn't. So observe your habits, start a new habit, but understand that 90 to 230 days it's going to take. And then when you get those thoughts of imposter syndrome, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. You have 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are recurring. So 95% of that, you have actually thought about that over and over and over again. We can use the 5-second rule to reset ourselves. And we can actually use, I don't have it here, but you can take a rubber band, like Lance Armstrong did the Live Strong thing. You could take a rubber band and put it around your arm and snap it when you have those bad thoughts, and you'll instantly, it resets your brain. I mean, it kind of hurts, but it resets your brain. The 5-second rule, you can use that. Count on from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and like jump up, do jumping jacks, do squats, do something to reset yourself so that you understand those thoughts are recurring. It's not true. It's not correct. And then you reset yourself. Whew, how was that for the first one? That was a lot. Okay, so strategies. Number 2, strategies. So 5-second rule, habits, okay. Oh, let me talk about the Superman pose for a second. Wish I could take credit for this too, because this is amazing. But it comes from Grey's Anatomy, which I love because I'm a nurse, even though that stuff is fake. And I can see like the negativities of the Grey's Anatomy, like that's not real. That's not how you do this, But when the one girl was going into surgery, she put her hands on her hips like Superman and stood straight up and put her head up. Now, all you have to do, that resets yourself too, because you are more proud of yourself. You're more engaged when you look up. You're looking up in the air. How does that feel? Your lungs are expanding. It makes you breathe better. You feel more positive than if you were to slump over and have your, shoulder shrugged like this, and you're like, feel like the Eeyore, from Winnie the Pooh. If you stand up and go like this and say, I can do it, I can do it, you can feel the change in yourself. So it really does help. Now, again, here, I'm saying all of this. So I'm very transparent, by the way. So I'm saying all this stuff to you. I'm like, woo, I'm on a roll. Do you know how many things that I'm saying that I have not implemented yet? So it does take consistent work. I mean, I've been working on this for about 6 years through self-development and really understanding. I had a lot of self-work to work on. I had a lot of work to work on internally. So it's taken me 6 years to get this far. And yet I have a coach that I pay for. And she has said this whole year it was about habits, 2020 during the pandemic and habits. How many of us do you think have actually changed a habit? Probably one in the group. There's 330 people in her group. When we had the Zoom chat last week, there was like 70 some of us on there. 330 people in the group. We have the Zoom chat every Wednesday night. Everybody knows what time it takes place. Everybody knows everything about it. And yet 3 out of 330 people, there's 75 on the Zoom. And she keeps going over the same thing. And I kept thinking, like imposter syndrome, I kept thinking, well, how am I supposed to be a coach if I'm not implementing this? How am I supposed to be a coach if I am feeling like I can't even get myself, or I have to come up with new content every week? You don't have to come up with new content. You just drive the same things home over and over and over and over again, because we have all had life hit us and impact us that it takes such a long time to actually see a change. So I'm working with another coach and building a 12-month program. And I used to think people are used to like this 3-week program, 4-week program, or 3-month program. How am I supposed to build a 12-month program? And then I realized it's taken me, this is month 11th, her thing is over in June and then it renews. It's taken me 11 months to get here. And yet I've hardly implemented half of the strategies she has told us. She's told us everything that it took her to build her business. But yet almost all of us have not yet implemented any of those strategies. So it takes a long time to see a change. That's why you have to work with a coach. Me working with her has like just tenfolded what I understand about implementing habits and strategies and procedures and goals. But you have to work with somebody consistently for a long time to understand and actually see a change. Because once you stop working with them, you, number one, get stuck in your head. And number two, you go backwards because of your strategies and habits. Life takes over. So, strategies. If you don't have, I used to think like, what's a strategy for Facebook? What's a strategy? Like now I'm doing LinkedIn. What's a strategy for all of that? What's a strategy for weight loss? I had no idea. But the strategies are the things that you implement that you understand that you can implement on a daily basis. Those are your strategies. Do you have a strategy for when your car breaks down? Well, some people have AAA. That's a strategy. Some people don't. That's not a strategy. Do you have a strategy for weight loss? When you eat, do you feel full or are you bored eating? That's a strategy. Do you actually understand? So when you're talking about strategies, it's the things that you actually understand that you can implement on a daily basis. I don't understand Facebook ads at all. That's not a strategy. But I do understand how I can talk to people and tell them how to implement this. That's a strategy. So you have to understand what your strategies are and what goals you're going for. Now you can take a goal and write down 3 bullet points of what you're going to do. That's a strategy. But are you actually going to do them? Probably not. This is where the hardcore, like the habits comes into place. Because when you have all these goals, but you have to really niche it down to understand what are some things that I can do right now to get me to that goal. That's a strategy. And you can either like figure it out from your point of view, from what you've experienced, or you can hire a coach, or you can buy books on goals. There's a book that I'm reading right now, Goals. It's called Goals, I think, or Goals something. It's by Brian Tracy. So he talks step by step how to actually achieve a goal. But you're more likely to achieve a goal when you have a coach than when you're not. Now, systems. Do you have systems? So strategies and systems are a little bit different, even though they kind of sound the same. Strategies are what you understand how to do. The systems that you have in place are how you're actually going to achieve that. So do you have a system for you make your bed in the morning, you make your kids lunch or something like that? Do you have a system for how you do that? You put the clothes from the washer into the dryer, you take a piece of bread out and make a sandwich. All these systems that we have, and it kind of, when I'm talking about it now, it kind of doesn't make sense. So you have to just hang with me here, because it does make sense, but it doesn't make sense. Strategies and systems are 2 different things, but the strategies for I could say for weight loss, not anything else, but weight loss. So strategies are, am I hungry or am I bored eating? Am I full? Have I had enough? Do I have to clear my plate because what I've seen my whole entire life is clearing my plate? Or can I let it go and not be able to finish my whole plate and be okay with that? The systems that you have in place for weight loss, for example, would be, are you on a keto diet, Mediterranean diet? Are you on a seafood diet, seafood, you eat it? Are you on the Beachbody diet? Things like that, that would be a system to understand how to actually get there. Does that make sense? I think, okay. Okay. Did I say enough? Was that a lot of stuff?
You're doing good. You're doing good.
All right. So Here's one that really annoys me, but at the same time, I understand. So, with the weight loss stuff that I've been talking about, um, this is really annoying, but it is our society. Our society is more keen on attractive people. Everything revolves around attraction. So, whether you like it or not, I don't like it, but when you're in the face of others, they look at you and they automatically judge you for what you look like, what you sound like, what you're wearing, and how fat or skinnier you are. And then they will make that decision and see whether you get their business or whether you don't. And it's been proven over and over again. There's been studies that are on it. Um, because I'm going on this Be Seen on TV course, I've done a lot of research in this because I wanted to talk about this on TV. But is actually studied that HR representatives that hire you or look at your resume will also look at how attractive you are, no matter what the job is. So, this is what I work on with people. And I hate this stigma, but this is what I work on too, is you have to be self-confident in yourself, and self-confidence also takes the precedence. But what you look like on a daily basis, how you show up, how heavy or skinnier you are, because they judge you when you're skinny too. So how heavy or skinny you are, actually, you can get the job or you could not get the job. So I want to take that stigma away, or at least understand it, or have more people understand it. And women versus men with the wage gap. So there's a big wage gap. We get paid less as women than men do for same job description, same hours, whatever. And then when you put like minorities into it, when you put whether you're fat, overweight, or skinny, overweight people are seen as lazy and unprofessional. Again, there's studies on this. It's not just me saying this. So there's a real big stigma against this, which is what I want to work on with people. So I want to work on getting them healthier, but also increasing that self-confidence to make you more attractive and to make you stand out so that you do get the jobs, excuse me, and that you can move forward. So just make sure, like, when you're on Zoom, when you're, showing up to the grocery store, what do you look like? What do you sound like? How fat or skinnier you are, people judge you. And I hate that because I'm overweight too. I'm way overweight, but people judge you and I judge people too. But it's like our society, it's our culture. And I hate that. But just always remember, people are judging you no matter what you're doing, how you look, the way you act. And that's fine. People can judge you all you want and you don't care about them, but just don't take their opinions and take it to heart. But do understand that if you are going out to get a job, that the HR representative is judging you too. And again, there's been studies on that. It's not just me saying that, which is nuts. But so, other than that, okay, that was my pinpoints for the evening. That was action packed.
That was great. Thank you for that.
Oh, I'm like sweating over here. That was a lot of information.
One of the things you talked about the Superman pose, and I remember Tony Robbins in one of his, I believe it was his personal power. I used to get I mean, how old I am, the cassette tapes. I had his personal power, and that was my first purchase of Tony Robbins. This was back in the 80s, and I had the whole set. But he had one of the things he said is that if you're feeling depressed, sit up straight, look at the ceiling, and smile. And he said, and just keep that smile on your face, because you can't be depressed if you're smiling and looking up. So that kind of reminded me of that, and it works,
It
and
does
I know
work.
a couple of times when I've been, feeling, upset or not feeling good about myself, I'd think about that and I'd look up and smile. And I'm like, when you have a smile on your face, you cannot be depressed.
Yes, yes, it does work.
So yeah, that it just when you said that, it kind of reminded me of that. And the with the bands too. We had
Yes.
someone in, Lisa came in a few weeks ago, and she talks about something similar, but she talked about when you put the band on one hand, and then um, as you're dieting, and every day you're good, you keep it on that one wrist. If you have a day where you go out to dinner, or you drink, or you do something, you got to take it off of this wrist and put it on this wrist. So now the goal is to keep it on. Now you have to start all over again. So now the goal is to keep it on that wrist for 30 days. You know, so if you're constantly switching your thing back and forth, then you know you're not doing a good job on your diet. So your goal is to try to keep it on that one wrist. But that reminded
That's
me
a
of
good
you were talking
idea.
about pinging your wrist.
Yeah, I used to do that in well, I don't even know where this came from, but I used to do it in nursing school when I would second guess myself. I would second guess myself in all these tests, and the tests were just horrible. But I would always second guess myself, and I used to wear a rubber band on my wrist and snap it. I'd be like, man, that sucks, and it hurts too. It's not pleasant, but it resets your brain for a second.
Yeah, yeah. No, so that's yeah, that's good. What was the other thing? Oh, you were talking about strategies and systems. So what would a system be for mindless eating? I mean, because that's kind of like my thing. I mean, I'll be here and I'll be working or doing something, and I'll just walk up, go to the bathroom, and on the way back, just, pick something up and start eating it. And it's like, I don't even know I'm doing it. It's just like kind of just falling off the counter into my mouth.
So this is what I have, and I'm not embarrassed about it with my stepkids, but it kind of looks weird that I have this on the refrigerator and my cabinets. I have a pink, what's it called? A post-it note. I have a pink post-it note on my refrigerator and on my cabinet door that say, "Am I hungry or am I just bored?" So before I go to open the refrigerator, you have to read it, and it says, "Am I hungry or am I just bored?" And I'm like, okay, I'm just bored. Go. And it says, if you're bored, go get a sip of water. And that's what I put on there. So um, sometimes I ignore it, but most of the time I'm pretty good about it. And I have one that's on my cabinet where we keep the junk food and stuff. Am I hungry or am I just bored? So you can use that to actually understand, okay, I'm just bored. And then I did put on there, like, go get a sip of water, move. Or you can take it instead of just, you have to also understand that's a habit. So when you are doing it, you have to observe yourself and actually acknowledge, okay, this is a habit. So how am I going to get out of that habit into a new habit? Well, I use the sticky notes, but what you could do is take water, and you take 10 sips of water each time you drink, because then it makes your stomach a little bit, like, not bloated, but it gets in there. The water's in your stomach, so you feel fuller. And it takes 20 minutes from the stomach to get to the brain to understand that you are full. So you have to understand it's going to take you a little bit longer. So take a drink of water, take 10 sips at a time, and hopefully that will solve your issue. Now, if you're really hungry, then eat, but eat so that you're not as full, that you're eating, but you're not to the point where you're going to be sick and then you don't get anything done because of that carb or sugar rush.
Right.
You can still eat, but take, little bites. And I've had to, like, start to understand I need to take little bites too, instead of like gulping down my food like I've never had food before. You have to take little bites.
Yeah.
So it's all, I mean, and it's a long process, and it's a
Right.
habit because
And
we've
it's
all,
all planning. It's all planning ahead of time and saying, okay, I got to make these sticky notes and put them here, or I got to make some snacks that are going to be healthy. So instead of grabbing the bag of potato chips, I'm going to grab the celery sticks that I cut up and eat those instead. So I think having that planned out ahead of time, um, so that you
the only
break the
thing that I
habit by
found,
doing something
yeah,
different.
the only thing that I found with that is that I used to plan food, and then I would have like healthy snacks all planned out. But then I wouldn't eat them, even if I had them all planned out, because I wanted chips or something. So instead of limiting myself now, I go for the chips, but I limit how many, 5, 10. That's it. You're done. Instead of grabbing the celery and peanut butter, which I hate and I won't eat it, I'll let myself have the chips. I used to deprive myself, but I've realized with other people too, you're almost like a rebellious teenager when you deprive yourself of food, when you deprive yourself of the junk food that you really want. You end up eating more of it, and then you're like, screw this, I'm off my diet, because you really want it. And it's like the rebellious teenager thing. So now, instead of limiting myself to, I don't limit anything, I just limit how much, the quantity of it.
Yeah. And if you don't buy it, you don't have it in the house, that's another thing is to stop, is to, um, one of the things that I did was, really changed up my shopping, and not buying the bags of potato chips, not buying the soda anymore. So it's just not in the house. It's just not here. So I couldn't, even if I wanted it, I couldn't grab it. So, um,
That and that works for some people. It doesn't work for my household because
right.
I have a 6-year-old and my husband who's as skinny as a rail. He has a high metabolism. He's doing stuff 24/7. He doesn't sit down. So he could eat a whole cow and not gain weight. Like literally, he doesn't gain weight, period, because he's so active and his job is very physical. He lifts like 500-pound doors and windows. So he all that junk food he wants, and I mean, he shouldn't have to be limited because I'm on a diet. So
Right.
I still
Right.
have all of that stuff. I still have to buy all of that stuff. But I've quit drinking sodas, or I'll take a sip of his and then be done with it. So it's just observing what you can and cannot have and making it a habit and a point to understand, okay, you can still buy that stuff, but I'm limited to 10 chips, whereas they can have the whole
Right.
bag.
Right.
And that used to suck, but it's reality. It is what it is for me right now.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just grabbing those 10 chips, closing the bag, and then walking away
Yep.
and eating them someplace else, as opposed
Or
to just
taking water, taking a sip of water,
taking the
water
whole
always
bag
works.
with you into the living room and just,
Yes. Here's another strategy that I've started implementing now, but I don't use my kitchen table. We eat in the living room. We eat on the couches. We never sit at the table. So I have started sitting at the table and eating instead of sitting and on the couch. Now I just did it a little while ago. So here's my, do as I say, not as I do thing. But again, it takes a while to implement a habit, but I am working on that. So as long as you take the steps, you observe what you're doing, and you move forward knowing that anything works, nothing doesn't.
does anyone else have any questions for Lindsay? No?
The 2020 habits. Is that the 20 minutes?
So what?
The 2020 habits? Is that where you just do something for 20 minutes?
I don't know what that is. What's the 2020 habit?
I should have wrote it down earlier.
It takes 20 minutes for your stomach to signal to your brain that you're full.
Okay.
I think what you said, Lindsay, was 2020 was the year of habits or something to that effect.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where we become more aware of our habits.
Yeah, so I signed up with a coach, and this year was about implementing and understanding your habits, but yet half of us not half of us, way over half of us have not implemented hardly any habits.
Okay, I just when I was in school, we learned 20 minutes studying where they like, because people think when they're trying to learn something new, they need to like spend hours cramming it, or if you just spend 20 minutes a day learning it, and then you review the same thing the next day and the next day, you learn.
That is true. Yep. What's it called? I forget what it's exactly called. It's like I mean, it is a strategy, but it's like, I don't remember what the name of it is, but you only do one activity for a limited amount of time, and then you switch to a different activity so that your brain's still working, but you're not spinning your wheels on the same activity. So it's kind of like that.
Okay. I like that 20-minute thing though. I mean, I know she kind of mixed up what you were saying, but actually
No, it worked out. Yeah.
We could make out our own.
It is very true.
You know,
I forget what the name of it is, but yeah, that's a really good idea. But you also have to set a timer and then make it a habit to implement it for yourself. Because we could set timers all day, but if you're not implementing it and understanding, okay, 20 minutes, that's it, period.
And setting that intention and following through on that.
Yes.
And one piece of information I wanted to share with you, Lindsay, that I've learned in my studies with habits and productivity is that research has shown when you are accountable to yourself, when you actually follow through on what you say you're going to do, you actually increase your results anywhere from 100 to 500%. And it's simply following through, doing the action. You know, I'm going to turn the alarm off and get out of bed versus hitting the snooze button. So when you do that, that's a 100% result that you're getting. And in other places where you implement that for yourself in your habits throughout your day, you can't 5x those results. So I found that research amazing.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That's without any other input, is what the research showed. You can increase your results 100 to 500% without any other input, simply by following through on what you tell yourself you're going to do. That's powerful.
yeah.
Wow, that is. Thank you for that.
Because I think that we will disappoint ourselves before we'll disappoint other people. I mean, if we say to ourselves, okay, we're going to do this, and then something else comes up and we have a choice of not doing it. If we had promised someone else that we were going to do that for them, we would do it. But because we promised ourselves, or we told ourselves we wanted to do it, we're more apt to. Why is it showing through my hair? It's yeah. So I think we disappoint ourselves in a way that we shouldn't.
Well,
Yeah.
just like today. So I did nothing all day, even though I was supposed to exercise, and I had a ton of stuff to do, and I did nothing all day. But I was like, okay, I got to get on this Zoom chat at 7. Okay. And all day long, I was like, okay, 7 o'clock, 7:30, I got to get on the Zoom chat. So you're so much more likely to show up for other people than you are for yourself.
Yep. Well, we're glad you came.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you.
So I think we're about at the end anyway. So I want to just thank everyone for coming. If anyone has any other questions for Lindsay or for me, if not, then I'll stop the live. And if you guys are welcome to